Good morning, JFW family. Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. Welcome back, Jim White, singer-songwriter, Brother Dave White, and Gutter Boy, Super Dave Weldon. What's going on, guys?
Hey, happy snow day, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Morning, Jam. Morning, everybody.
Yeah.
I guess we all didn't get a snow day, huh?
We didn't get one, and nor do we ever. I'm actually going to talk about that at the end of the podcast with my final thoughts, but super excited about today's podcast. It is no holds barred, unedited, and we have a lot of input from outside of JFW, which is awesome. So
That's because the snow can't even stop us, Jam.
The snow can't even stop us.
Is this podcast in the raw?
It's in the raw. Yeah. Yep.
I got clothes on. I don't know about you.
You can only see me from the waist up.
Yeah.
So.
I'm visualizing you naked, Super Dave. How's that?
That ain't pretty.
At the gym in the locker room, doesn't give a shit.
Oh, those people, they're rough, man.
We better do the Pledge of Allegiance before we get in the gutter.
We get too raw.
Right?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So it's no secret, I'm not an audio engineer. I think when we say the pledge all together, we just got to do it a little quieter because everybody comes in together and it overmodulates.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
I mean, say it loud and proud. But,
Yeah, but I thought we were a little quieter that time. No?
According to my meter, we were not.
We pegged it, huh? Okay.
Yeah. As a reminder, anything you hear today is not JFW's opinion. It certainly is my opinion and the other men in this room. Episode 63 had 355 downloads. We're back over that 350 mark.
Nice.
I think that's kind of, when I see that, I'm pretty happy, but I wanted to say 500. We talked about maybe advertising the podcast on social media. We're going to get with Paradigm Creative and see what they could do for us.
Nice.
We're at 23,568 total downloads, and we held steady at 157 followers, so no new followers. Womp womp.
We got some longtime listeners though, Jam.
We do.
I mean, we've got a movement.
Oh, yeah.
Like you mentioned,
That's the thing.
Even the people that aren't here have nothing to do with JFW
Yep.
and enjoy listening. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, this outline was so easy to wrote because
To rote.
unedited. This podcast was so easy to write. So hypercritical of me because everybody wrote it for me. We had people from out of the country, out of JFW, drivers. Everybody chipped in, and all I had to do was copy and paste everything. So, Thanks for chipping in, everybody.
That is awesome.
Well, it's time for the Dad Joke Challenge. But before we do that, I do want to tell you a range story. Did I tell you about the time I went to the range and I'm getting my pistol ready, and there's this old guy next to me, and he's shooting, but he keeps shooting my target. So I'm like, hey, buddy, I don't know if you realize, but you're shooting my target. He's like, well, I don't see that good. I got that glaucoma.
Man.
Gone Ponds, baby.
I knew you were headed down that road, Jim, right?
I wanted to tell an eye joke just because you went to the eye doctor yesterday.
Well, you were doing it, all of you guys, in your texts yesterday afternoon.
Aye.
That's funny.
All right. Well, I have to throw out a quick thank you to the family because they got me a little can of dad jokes for Christmas. I don't know if that meant that mine have been that bad and I needed some help, or they're just helping. So anyway, what did the horse say when it fell over?
Man, I should know this, but I don't.
Help, I've fallen and I can't giddy up.
Oh, all right.
That's cute.
I thought that was a coaster. I was going to set my energy drink on it.
Coaster dad jokes,
man.
right?
That might have been your best one.
All right. Well, I kind of did the trucker dad jokes, so here we go. What was the grain trucker's favorite band?
Don't know.
Dave?
Yeah.
No?
The grain
Couldn't
trucker,
tell you.
huh?
Hall and Oates.
Oh, man. That's good.
So obvious.
I was
right?
almost going to say corn with a backwards
Hall and
K.
Oates.
It was a balance between that one and why can't test tube babies be truck drivers?
I don't know.
They aren't Peterbilt.
Oh, no. You might as well. I mean, you might as well tell that other one, Dave.
Finish up with it?
Yeah.
All right,
We're
man.
we're raw.
This could be a 3 strikes and you're out, though, Jim.
Not invited back.
Hold on, Dave. Brother Dave has his hat on backwards.
Jam, get your bleeps ready.
Strap your boots on.
This is no holds barred, right? All right. What does a truck driver and a slightly aroused man have in common?
Well, I know the answer.
That's the reason we're laughing.
All right. They both have a semi.
Beep.
Ba-da-ba. All right, Dave, clean it up.
Yeah, I will.
Strong finish. Strong finish.
I will. This is
Let's
a
go,
true
Billy Boy.
dad joke. You could tell this to your 5-year-old. Did you know you're able to tell the gender of an ant just by putting it in water?
I do. I just saw that this morning.
Yeah, my computer probably.
No, on mine. Seriously, I just about used that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you how. If it sinks, girl ant. If it floats, boy ant. Buoyant.
Buoyant. Got it.
All right.
Oh, man.
How do you count cows?
One cow at a time.
Oh, I with the calculator.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this one's a little bit obvious, but yeah, I thought that
Calculator.
was cute too.
That's a good one.
The
is a good one.
calculator.
All right, new employees. We got 2 new drivers started this week, Brian Carbons and Sean Barney. Sean seems like a pretty outgoing guy. He's a little outspoken and funny. And
Very.
I got to tell you, I came back yesterday from doing something, and there was a note on my desk from Sean saying, hey, I tried to put in PTO, but it said no accruals were available. I was like, well, that's easy to fix. I mean, for a guy that just started, he knew exactly what to say and made it easy for me to fix this problem. So
Nice.
good job. And Bryant, you've been a little bit quieter, but I'm sure you're going to be a pleasure to get to know as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, welcome, Bryant. Sean, I did meet Sean yesterday also. Yeah, outspoken, good handshake.
Welcome aboard, guys.
Yeah. Celebrations, anniversaries. Dale Boyce, his anniversary is tomorrow, and he will be here 2 years.
2 years?
Yep. And then Sebastian Coronado, he'll be here 3 years on Friday. Both those guys have been a pleasure for the last couple of years.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, good teammates.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sea bass.
Seabass.
Yep.
Yep. Birthdays, we got Angie Kovac on the 19th tomorrow as well. Happy birthday, Angie. And then Gerardo Sanchez and Eric Burnham share a birthday on the 20th. So happy birthday, everybody.
Right
Yeah,
on.
happy birthday.
Absolutely.
Family birthday celebrations. We got Landon, a.k.a. Boomer Romero. His birthday was on the 15th. I know he went to the stock show and got him a cool little cowboy hat. And then Melissa Reyes, which is Vince Meekin's significant other. She has a birthday tomorrow. And then Alessandra Montez, Leo Montez's daughter, has a birthday on Friday. So happy birthday, everybody.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday, everyone.
Yes. Happy
definitely
birthday,
happy
folks.
Birthday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout outs. I wanted to give this person a shout out. He never gets a shout out all on his own. He's always combined with Dispatch does a great job and what a good team we got. But I got to tell you, Randy Hogue, man, he's just been a pleasure to work with. He gets it done. I'll tell Randy, like, I'll get a phone call, oh, I can't do this. He's already got it dispatched. I peek around Randy's computer. Hey, Randy, this is going on. Not a problem. Makes changes. Has suggestions for the drivers to make it easier on everybody. He's just been doing great. I mentioned to Linda I was going to give Randy a shout out this morning, and she just jumped right on that train and wrote me an email saying, Randy has been doing an awesome job. He has been seeking out additional runs to keep trucks busy, Lamar to Kansas and Kansas to Denver, backhauls for the drivers picking up new trailers, not coming home empty. He watches the boards for new opportunities every day to make sure we have trucks moving when it gets slow. Always negotiates higher rates than posted. Coordinates time off and scheduling trucks. Juggles phone calls internally from drivers, from the load boards, complaint calls, and outside calls from customers. He's been doing an amazing job, is a great teammate, doesn't complain, just does a job. So shout out to Randy Hogue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Randy, buddy.
Yeah, Randy's got a saying that I just love: "Iron sharpens iron."
Yeah,
Right?
it's in the Bible. It's a
Yep.
Bible verse.
Yeah.
And I believe
Yeah.
that. You know.
Yeah, I like
agree.
when he has when he's working on the out of town stuff, how he wrangles me and you up, Dave, and just
It's
talks
a little
to us.
think tank, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it's a
we're
good-
better together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's proven. So
Yeah,
he brings it to the table, and always creates such opportunity for everyone here. It's great to see. Good job, Randy.
Yeah, and he's definitely come a long ways because he has a lot of times we'd have a lot of questions for him, but he has those answers before he talks to
Yeah.
us now.
Yeah.
and he's ahead of us.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's a easy lesson to learn. When you guys come and you don't have answers, I'm gonna have the answers next time, but some people don't. So I think it's his knees. I feel ever since he's got his knees, he's been Randy times 20.
Yeah, that 2.0. But I think that's when you live with pain,
Right.
It just drags on you.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think what is shooting him to stardom are the knee socks.
Yeah.
That's because they're warm now too, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's proud of those things.
In fact, he was gone the other day, and we had to look it up because he was missing like the bottom half of the girl from Flashdance, with his little knee socks. So I was going to tease him, but
I've told him that you could just wear a pair of pants. And it would do the same thing, but he wasn't having any of it.
like compression tights.
Man, that's becoming a thing.
Oh, at the gym, it's
Like men in
tights.
yoga pants.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, really?
Oh, yeah, it's disgusting. Not normal.
Oh yeah.
I don't even want to go to there, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we were at the airport. That's where I saw him, and I'm like, you walk up behind someone that's walking, and you're thinking, that just looks different. Is it what? That's a man,
Huh.
And you're like,
Right.
that's a man in yoga pants. That's not normal.
It's funny because my wife, probably over 2 years ago, not this past Christmas, it may have been the one before that, or the one before that. I can't remember, but there's this. What's the name of the company? Can't remember the name of the company, but it's fitness apparel. Mm-hmm. But they're European, right? So their style's a little different. So she bought me 3 pairs of sweats, and I mean, they're really nice sweats. They're bamboo. They're comfortable, but they are tighter. They're not tighter everywhere. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm wearing tights.
Well, that's the European style.
Yeah,
they wear their clothes tight.
Yeah, and it's like, I wear they're kind of fancy. I got one pair that's kind of black camo, another pair is red, another pair is blue. She bought me like the top, and like it's a 3-piece top. Like I look like a Viking. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty cool stuff, but the pants are definitely tighter. And I wear them because I'll wear what my wife tells me. And they're comfortable and they're good for working out. But I remember I changed here at JFW one day to go to the gym, and Dave's like, "Are those tight jeans?" You remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm like, "No, they're sweats." But yeah, I mean, I actually do love them. I can't believe I can't remember the name of them, but they're really nice. Thanks, baby. Let's see here. Shout outs. Oh, back to shout outs. Bree Baldridge. She wants to give a shout out to George P., a.k.a. Jorge, for sweeping out a trailer today when they were hauling salt. So nice job, George.
Yep,
Thanks for
awesome.
helping out. Megan, Mike Tafoya's significant other, wrote us a very nice thank you card. So shout out to Megan for being thankful. I love this. I was on Facebook yesterday and I see a comment from Brenda Alvarez. She listened to a podcast and we were talking about the accident-free list. So she said, "So proud of my husband, Francisco Alvarez, for being part of the accident-free group." What I love about that, I just love seeing family and wives being engaged with JFW and
Absolutely.
the family. I mean, of course, Lauren Nahara pops up to mind as being very vocal on social media. So to see another wife, jumping in and saying she's proud of her husband for an accomplishment, I just really like that. So shout out to you, Brenda, and shout out to Francisco for being accident-free.
He's kind of a silent warrior.
He's a sleeper.
He
I was
is.
thinking that. He's a sleeper. He just comes in,
Gets
does
it
his
done.
job.
Right.
Yep. So always a pleasure to see in the yard. Always smiling. Good attitude.
Yep.
Yeah. So good stuff. Linda says, "Hi. Got a call from David. He's a batch plant manager at Gross Dam. He wanted us to know we have the best drivers in the industry. He wishes all the drivers were like ours. I did tell him we have great crews at JFW and thanked him for the compliments. I did also let him know if he had an issue to please call so we can stay on top of things. The drivers that were there today were Jimmy V, Troy Hunt, Chris Beam, Leo, or as Oswaldo says, Leo Montez, Jack Oquendo Mejia, and James Gallegos. So good job, man.
Good job,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks, guys. Way to
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting.
I love that the way he put us on that pedestal. I love his quote: "The best drivers in the industry."
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's like we won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. And that's not us saying it. That's a customer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
look, if our customer thinks we're the best, we're the best.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Dave were happened to be up there last week, had a meeting and stuff, and that was the same feeling we got from them. But, you know, all of the being the best drivers and the delivery stuff like that, they were also really thrilled because if we tell them we get 3 loads, you get 3 loads.
Right.
You tell them you get 5 loads, you get 5 loads. And they acted like that just doesn't happen. And that's not our culture here. We get what we're supposed to get. Yeah. So we try to try to do our best. It's the big picture. It's the big piece of the pie.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
You know, sometimes, Jim, if we say we're going to get 3 loads, we kind of want to get 4.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
that.
You know?
There's that overachievement.
Yep.
Yeah. I know. It just. Yeah. I don't know. Me personally, and Dave's been. Well, you've all been with. We're hearing that a lot, that we're doing a good job.
I love it.
And it feels like it's so much pressure, and to keep that up. And how do we do that? How do we make that better? How do we take it to the next level?
We keep talking about it, and we keep preaching, just do your job.
Yeah.
Because it's not that difficult. You yourself, Jim, have said to stand out, you just have to do your job. Yep. What we're getting compliments on something that's just a level of communication that says, hey, we're going to deliver 3 loads today, and we deliver 3 loads. Why is that special?
Right.
Because other people aren't doing that.
Yeah. I was going to say the way we do it is very similar to what you said, is we have a manual how to do it. We have trainers teaching how we do it. There's this thing called the JFW way where we expect people to do it that way. Whenever we do that, we get compliments. When we don't do that is when we get complaints.
All hell breaks loose, right?
Right. You know, and it is surprising because we deal it. I mean, we're dealing with a vendor, not a vendor. We're a customer of somebody who's not doing a very good job for us right now. I was talking to the sales rep the other day, and he basically, in so many words, told us to lower our expectations. They got 40,000 customers. They can't do that. I mean, I learned everything I needed to know about that company. They don't care about us. They cared a lot about getting a sale, and now they have 40,000 customers, and they can't perform the way we need. And I told them, wow, I can't imagine telling a customer that. You know, they make a mistake, and then I ask them if they're going to fix it, and they say, unfortunately, you're going to have to take care of that. I was like, wow, imagine if we went and we dumped in the wrong bin, or we did something at our customers. I mean, we've hit a fence. Sorry, we ripped your fence down, but unfortunately, you're going to have to take care of that.
Right.
It doesn't work like
terrible.
that.
Right.
We were out there with our crew. We're either calling a fence company or we got our crew out there repairing a fence. Yeah, it's just amazing to me how other people operate when I'm used to how we operate and our level of expectations. So,
Yeah. If that's the new norm, that is the norm. You know, of how other people operate.
I guess
that's okay to tell somebody. Unfortunately, you know, that's the word that fixes everything.
Right.
You'll just have to take care of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it the new norm? Because I feel like customer service is what makes people stand out.
Well,
you know, look at Amazon. Like, you know, back in the day, it was so hard to return something and get a refund.
Right.
Now, like if you're selling things and you're not offering like some kind of refund, like no questions asked, or look at Vortex Optics, right? They're a site company. Their optics are fairly reasonably priced. You could spend a lot of money with them if you want, but you could also get in the door fairly cheaply. They have a lifetime guarantee. They don't care if you ran your optic over with your car. They will replace it. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, lifetime.
Yeah, when you go to buy a scope, if another scope company's not offering that, it's kind of a no-brainer for me.
Right.
I'll buy this one and run it over and get a new one.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, but that stands out to you, Jim.
It does.
And that's just doing the right thing. I mean, I guess it is just like what Dave said. You know, you see Amazon, how fast they can deliver stuff. I know, we do a lot of stuff on Amazon, or the whole family does, just to cruise right into Kohl's.
Right.
They scan your phone and the stuff, no questions asked.
Yeah, no box, no label.
Yeah.
You just walk in, here's my stuff.
Yeah.
Scan this QR code. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, back to the fence thing, Jim. We're not happy at all that we hit that fence,
Right.
but we repaired it. That's what lets us sleep at night.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we did this damage to this customer's property, but we fixed it.
Right.
It's just like when we tell a customer, hey, we're going to show up at 6 a.m. We're there at 6 a.m., right? That's what we've promised.
Right.
Our start to 6 a.m., we're going to be there at 6 a.m.
Right.
That's what the customer expects. That's what we give the customer,
That's
right?
what we do.
That way it's a good experience. So.
But what if we couldn't be there at 6 a.m.?
Well, then we're calling that customer and going, hey, guess what? We screwed up.
Yep.
We've got someone en route, or, you call that customer and you communicate with that customer, right?
We're not perfect, but we're going to be perfect to trying to make it better.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
See that representative you were talking to, Jam? I guarantee you his leaders would not have approved of the way he handled that situation.
You know, Dave, with 40,000 customers, I bet those leaders, they don't go to work every day. They're not at their office shoveling. They're not going to check on job sites. They're in a cozy place, sitting on a board of directors, or we got 40,000 customers. We're going to make a certain amount happy, and the other people will just go away. I mean, that's how I feel it.
There's a lot of big business, Jam, that they're profitable enough. They have a formula that says, okay, and I'm making this up. Of the 40,000 customers, we have 5,000 that we're just never going to be able to please, and that's how it is. And they move on, maybe focus on 35,000, and then the other 10,000 are just in the wind.
Let's make sure the companies with 10,000 employees like us and the company with 150 employees, hopefully we make them happy.
Right.
But if we don't,
This is what we do.
well, yeah. So.
Well, they also are probably looking at new customers, acquisitions. We expect we're going to lose 0.2%, but we're going to gain 5% customers. Yeah. So they don't care.
It's the sales.
Bottom line, they're growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. Speaking of being on time and accountable and doing what we say, super important to follow dispatch times. It's important for a lot of different reasons. One, the customer may not want us there early or late. Two, we may have drivers that are scheduled there to be earlier than you. It's not fair if somebody has a 5 a.m. start and somebody has a 6 a.m. start, and the 6 a.m. guys are showing up at 5 when they showed up 5 the day before. Two, it puts a lot of pressure on our people. Okay, I'm going to use CMEX as an example. We put a text message out, hey, pay attention to CMEX start times. We got one loader operator. There was problems with the load side, with the pile, with how far the trucks got to travel. There was just a lot. To have extra trucks there puts undue pressure on that loader operator, Dale Boyce, right? Also, one day you're going to start at 5, the next day you're going to start at 6. So they rotate these CMEX drivers around. It's not fair if you're just a 5 a.m. guy every day. It's not respectful to your coworkers and your teammates, and it's not fair to Dell to have to feel that pressure of getting that extra truck loaded. So, anybody else?
Yeah, good example. I mean, we've had it through the years. Some of the golf courses, they want you there early so you can get in, you can beat the golfers.
Right.
But we've had some golf courses that go, no, because it's in a neighborhood. We don't want you there at 5 o'clock because it's just going to make everybody mad. And we get, the energy of wanting to get your day started and be there early. That's a superstar, but not if it doesn't fit. You can't put that round peg in that square hole.
Well, and that's where we go back to the, Bill Belichick, do your job.
Do your job.
Right? Our dispatch has sent out start times. You've got the guidance of every piece of information you need, right? Where do I need to be? What time do I need to be there? How does it work? And I wanted to make the point that it was more critical this time of year. It's just as critical all year.
Right.
Right? because we're so busy in the summertime.
Right.
Well, this time of year, it's critical on the other side, right? We're a little slower, so we need to schedule things a little, when I say tighter, almost with more reins, right? We need to pull back a little bit, and we need to make things fit. We need to put the puzzle pieces in there. If a puzzle piece shows up and it's out of timing, it doesn't fit. We're not ready for it yet, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hey, I know, Jim, I wrote it on my notes here, and I know you went ahead farther into the discussion. I had a couple more shout outs I just wanted to throw in there.
I'm so sorry.
No, you good. I just wanted to mention, I don't think Joe, maybe he'll see one of our trailers or listen, but Joe, he's the owner of American Mine Services. That's the company right next to Arcosa, right where we're loading out of. Mm-hmm. And it's been about a month, but I contacted him and asked if we could plug our loader in, use their electricity, and definitely ask him to send us the bill. But he was just so helpful. And and it's back to that same old thing. He goes, "Hey, I see your trucks. They're clean. I've ran into your drivers over the years. They're courteous. Whatever we can do to help." And I know we've harped on it a little bit, but our drivers and our people and the way we handle ourselves built that. So when you call somebody, they're like, "Yeah, absolutely. I know you guys. You guys got clean trucks, great drivers.
So awesome.
We'll help you out." And it's kind of, I was going to mention to you, Dave, when you just said about the being on time or not on time and stuff like that. Imshaw was coming onto Arcosa yesterday, and our blade was up there from this weekend, trying to do the road, and I just had Dale, or you did, move it onto American Mine Services property. And I left a text for Joe because I didn't, if he was up or going or whatever. It was about an hour later, and Joe was like, "Hey, no problem, anytime." And I was like, "Yeah, Joe, but I didn't want to assume we could just do that. I know you told me they even told Dale we could go use his shop if we wanted to the other day,
Wow.
But I was going to say, Dave, like if you want to be early, ask,
Right.
or if you're going to be late, call.
Communicate.
It's not that. It takes the pressure off of everything. And again, I had a great conversation with Joe yesterday, and he was like, "Yeah," and he said, "I just love your trucks. You guys do a great job. Thanks." And he said, and because he owns the business, he's like, "I appreciate that because I truly know how hard that is to do."
right.
And you're like, "Wow, that's a guy that gets it. Part of our circle."
Yeah.
And then when we spoke with Luis Mundy doing the culture interview, or not a culture interview, but what do we call that?
Culture meeting.
Culture meeting.
It's a culture interview.
That's what we call it.
So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Paradigm, which is James and Erica's company. They've helped us with our website and all that. But a key thing that Luis said, which we've been trying to do, is he said, the minute I looked up a trucking company, the first one to come up was JFW. And he said, I've seen them all around. I've seen the clean trucks. Yep. I've seen all that. And so shout out to them, because I think is it SCO?
SEO.
SEO.
Search engine
optimization. Yep. So, and we've achieved that. So a couple shout outs to Joe and Erica and James. Good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
People in our circle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't want to jump off of the shout outs, but I want to jump back in on those start times. I know we kind of we're kind of crossing lines this morning, bouncing back and forth through stuff, but I was just sitting here looking at our creed, you guys. And those start times, the first thing on our creed is we face and overcome all that stands before us, right? We were given a start time. Here's our start time. We need to face that and meet it, right? Head on. The second one is we're accident free. That's just a given all across the board, right? Yep. But then the next one is we joyfully create honest value for those we serve.
My favorite line in a creed.
Right? So is showing up at 6 when you have a 5 a.m. start time, is that honest value?
No.
Yeah.
Not even close.
So, right?
And what's the rest of that creed, Dave?
Exactly.
For
Jim.
who we serve, right?
Here's one of the next biggest ones that I like. We celebrate our differences, and here's the key. Respect those with whom we work. Right? Yeah. The next one falls right in line with this again. We are accountable for our words and our actions. Boom. We're accountable for our words and our actions. If someone did something and another person asks, "Why did you do that?" Isn't that making you accountable for your words and your actions?
100%.
Right? And isn't that the right thing to do? I mean, it's in our creed, right? If I'm out of line, I hope someone calls me out and says, "Hey, what's going on here?" Right? And then the last one, of course, again, another gimme. We are the JFW family.
Right.
So that creed.
That creed is so powerful. It's so easy to. Am I doing the right thing? Look at the creed.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Am I stepping out of line? Read the creed. Did I do it the right way? Look at the creed. Like, the answers are right there. And
Right.
when in my marriage, if we have a discussion about something or a debate and we're kind of going back and forth, we'll look into the Bible. Well, what's the Bible say? Let's find out, are the Bible verses about this? What does God have to say about it? And the answers are right there. And then once you see it, it's really clear. I feel like the creed is the same way. Like, well, what did the creed say?
Right?
Here's your answer. There doesn't need to be a debate about it because the answers are right there on that piece of paper.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think where we cross the line, if we do cross the line, is when we're all disrespected so much that from somebody that's not following that creed or doesn't, and we let it go, and we let it go,
Right.
and we let it go,
Right.
and we try to give some hints. One of the guys that wrote us this last week here, has been listening to the podcast. Can't wait till get in his truck on Thursday and listen to the podcast that's out. He said he enjoys. I know I'll read it, but he said when we talk about putting our foot down
Right.
with the drivers, and I wrote back to him, emailed back to him, and I'm like, and I hope when you hear that's a point that's educational, or we're not following the creed, and we need to try to get everything back in line if we can.
Right.
And so that it's important, you guys. Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Nice. More shout outs.
Yeah, no, I was done, Dave. I was just that.
Don't we have a shout out from Australia?
That's part of the discussion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But
okay.
before we do that, because I normally ask you guys, does anybody else have any shout outs? And everybody's like, no, we're good. I don't have. Jim, I got shout outs.
I had a shout out on the creed.
Super Dave, you got any shout outs?
I don't. No.
You don't love anybody. That's fine.
No, that's because Super Dave loves everybody.
He does.
Right?
Shout out to Super Dave
Equally.
for putting up with my nonsense day in and day out.
I'll throw a shout out to the wash bay again. I mean, we get compliments on a daily basis of what the trucks look like. I mean, it never gets old to hear, how do you keep the trucks so clean? The trucks are so clean. The trucks are so clean. And I mean, that's a grind for those guys out there and gals,
Right.
and I mean, they do it relentlessly every day. I mean, what they keep our fleet looking like is just incredible.
They're
It is just
definitely
incredible.
creating honest value in that watch.
Oh my gosh, it is so. I'm proud to have them on our side.
And when you talk to them, they're smiling, so I'm assuming they're doing it joyfully.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah, and I even think, not to single him out, because I don't know if he brought somebody with him, but I'm pretty sure Josh made it down either Saturday or Sunday last weekend because it was so nice.
Yeah.
And went to the Yard 23 and washed a bunch,
Really?
Dave.
Oh, did he?
He that was the plan if it was
Wow.
nice out, and I know it was nice.
Gotcha.
And
Nice.
that me and Mike talked, can we tell Josh just to rinse them, so he can get a lot of them clean because they're
Sure.
looking pretty bad over there.
Sure.
Even his rinsing is good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last week, we put out there, if you don't work at JFW and you listen to the podcast, we want to hear from you. Jim got a couple of emails, which is awesome. The first one, Jim, I'll actually just let you read these two emails you got, and we can
Okay.
talk about them.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, the first one, and we know he's been listening. He's a friend of Scooby's. His name's Kelvin, and he's from Melbourne, Australia. And he just sent an email and said, "Hey, thanks. Enjoy the podcast, all that kind of stuff." He says, "I listen every week. I really enjoy the content and passion you all share for JFW and trucking. I'm an over-the-road owner-op, and I also work in a large trucking fleet on the weekends." And he said, "I appreciate you guys." And I asked him a couple questions. Do you have any tips? Do you have any tricks? What do you call your DOT? Or do you have a DOT? Things like that. And he just said, "Hey, give me a chance, and I'll get back with you." And he answered. So their DOT is known as the National Heavy Vehicle Regulator. So NHVR. In Australia, we are heavily regulated and operate under a camera system which times our speed and our driving hours. They match our camera times to our paper logs with heavy fines and non-compliance.
For non-compliance.
For non-compliance. So clear across the world, basically, and same thing, have to do it the right way. And then I asked him a couple other questions, some tips and tricks, and he said he'd think about it. And again, he said, really enjoy the show and the culture. So he said, here, hi, Jim. I think the biggest tips I can give that I use daily are pre-trip, mid-trip, and post-trip checks. Keep a safe traveling distance and be patient. Then it was interesting the words he used, and we've talked about this because I like it, and I'll probably try to use it in other places. But his things were clean truck, clean dress, clean speech, and clean driving. And I just thought, what a great different way to look at that. Because we talk about, opening the door with the DOT and how clean your truck looks in there. And clean dress, that's just being, clean hat, clean shirt.
Professional.
Yeah, professional, right? There's a level there. Clean speech, I kind of laughed at that because I was like, well, to me that's an attitude. You don't get out of the truck with an attitude and, and cussing and things like that. But I also take clean speech as to know your equipment. When the DOT offer asks you, where's your sticker? Your inspection, annual inspection, and you don't know where that's at. Yeah. That's you can't communicate that. That's not clean speech.
Right.
So yeah, and then obviously the clean driving, we talk about that all the time, just being safe.
I love the first two that he started with, Jim, or three technically, but we talk about it at every podcast. Every podcast, we talk about pre-trip and post-trip. And I love how he's added in there mid-trip.
I love that.
Mid-trip.
And we talk about that also, right? We don't call it mid-trip, but we talk about, hey, when you're stopped, when you go to unload, when you're walking back to check your gate. I've mentioned walk down one side, take your hammer with you, bump your tires, listen for leaks, look for nails in your tires when you walk down one side, open that gate, walk up the other side, and, look for leaks, look for wheel seals out, look for... the obvious. Yep. When you're looking, you'll find it.
Yeah, Kendrick just added because we're working on our safety campaign, and one of the items Kendrick wanted to add was bump your tires multiple times throughout the day.
Yeah.
Not just before and after.
Right.
So.
A good driver is doing that every single time he stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad Kelvin put a name on it, and we're talking about it, but that should be what you do every time you stop, basically, and go back and brush off your tailgate.
Yeah.
Is your mid tripping?
For me, I'm always doing it visually.
Yeah.
You can when you're, say you stop, grab a bite to eat at lunch right quick. You run into wherever you're grabbing stuff from. When you're walking out and I'm loaded, I scan every one of those tires. Mm-hmm. You can tell when a tire is low by looking at it. You know what I mean? The bulge in the sidewall. You just compare it to the tire next to it. Why does that tire have such a bulge and this one doesn't? Am I parked on something, right? That I can't see creating that? No, I'm on level ground all the way across. Something's wrong, and you start with that visual, right? Then you use the rest of your senses.
Yeah, and it adds so much when you talk about like the tires bulging. Why is the tire bulging? Is that, let's say it's on the rear axle of the trailer. Is the front axle not dropping right?
Exactly.
I mean, and the back two tires are carrying all the weight.
Airbags aired up.
That's
right.
what I was just going to say.
Because when they drop down, they sit more in the back axle.
Yes.
It leads you to everything, and that.
Yes.
Yeah, you should be paying attention, all the time. And he goes on here, and like you're saying, Dave, it all goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
I mean that's Kelvin's words here. And he threw in this here. Something that may be interest to you guys is our Kenworths are around 500,000 K or 500K Australian, so 500,000 new, and 350K US dollars. And he said, we are a small but profitable market for Kenworth. Take care, Jim. I look forward to the next podcast. Regards, Kelvin. So, man, we wish you a safe rest of the week, Kelvin, if you listen, or whatever time you end up listening in Australia. And thank you so much for the emails, and the tips.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
That's a brother right there.
Absolutely.
Or a sister, or however you want to look at it.
Yep. He doesn't even work here, Jim, and he's living our creed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Is how I take that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. He's trying to be better on all levels.
Brother Dave, you would blow a gasket if you seen a bill for $350K for a truck.
Unfortunately, Jam, we're getting there. I mean, the equipment has gotten out of control. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Good stuff. And then we heard from a gentleman also that we hadn't heard from. He introduced himself. My name is Mike Powell. I've been driving for 20 years now. I've listened to every podcast. I always look forward to getting in my truck on Thursday and listening to my favorite podcast. I first learned about JFW when my first cousin, Forrest Colback, used to load JFW trucks at the quarry. And I remember Forrest, so he's talking a long time ago. I mean, up at the quarry.
Long time
ago, you guys. So he would talk about how clean the trucks were, the big CBs the trucks had, and how the drivers were always professional. Heck, even my Uncle Forrest would give you guys a compliment. So he's joking about his Uncle Forrest. And I remember Forrest was kind of a, hopefully, Mike, I'm not stepping out of bounds here, but he was kind of crabby, But the thing was,
from dealing with what?
Guys that can't do their job.
Exactly.
And that's where I was going, Dave, because Forrest was doing his job. All he wanted you to do was do your job.
Absolutely.
And we all knew Forrest. We chat with him just like any loader operator. You build a rapport as long as you're doing your job, and people recognize people that can do their job.
Absolutely.
So, and so he goes on. He says, I hauled gas and ethanol all over the front range for 10 years, so I would see the trucks daily. You guys by far had the best looking end dumps around. I love you guys, fully engaged. The whole company is positive and respectful manner. Sorry, misread that. Yet when you need to put your foot down and correct the drivers on their mistakes when needed. And, I mentioned that earlier, and that's what, that's when we talk about stuff, like an accident or like, I'm going to throw it out there because I haven't heard it much this week, but our lane changes, in our blind spot. That's a problem. And it's all driver based. There's nothing wrong with the truck. There's nothing wrong with the other people. That's not doing your job.
Right.
He says here, I've never met any of you in person yet. I feel like I've known you all for years because of the awesome interactions you have on the podcast. I don't know. That line kind of meant a lot to me for somebody to think they know us and we're even friendly on the podcast, I guess, or I guess again, there's your family, there's your culture.
Well, and this is the truth. What you hear is what you get.
Yeah.
Right. We're not up here sugarcoating anything.
Yeah, especially today. But, no holds barred. But other drivers that enjoy the podcast have always said it feels like we're in the room with you.
Nice.
When you guys are having conversations, and we have an outline, but it's not scripted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just feel like it's a conversation, and they're involved in it. So, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, good, great. So he had a question. Here's my question to Jim and Dave. Have you ever thought about getting into the hazmat business? If so, myself and drivers I know would be in Super Dave's office looking for an interview. I'm 47 years old, live in Northeast Colorado, and would move to the Front Range again in a heartbeat to retire from JFW, if that were to happen. You all have a safe and profitable year. 10-4, this is the Phantom. And he says here at the end, you all drive safe. So I just love that. And I answered him back, and I told him that years ago, we've talked about it, that me and Dave kind of told a customer no, And I answered him back. I said, not at this time. It's not in our cards, but I'm not going to tell you no that we wouldn't open a hazmat side.
Right.
You just never know. So, yeah, I just, big shout out to you too, Mike. Enjoy hearing from you, buddy.
We have done it a little bit, Jim.
We have.
Back in the
hauled
day.
fuel, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely, Dave. Yeah, you got great stories, and you were one of the few guys, tanker license and all that kind of stuff, and I guess at that time, Dave, you were a driver we could trust. You did everything right,
Well, there was a need because one of our associates came and said, "Hey, can you help me out?
Yeah.
We need fuel because it was when Hurricane Katrina shut down all the refineries, and they can flip. People probably don't know this, but they can flip a few switches and send petroleum down different pipelines all around the country. And so we had to do some trucking for one of our associates, and we picked up the ball and ran with it,
Yeah, absolutely.
So when Mike said, I always look forward to getting in my truck on Thursday and listening to my favorite podcast, the first thing that came to my mind was, suck it, Joe Rogan.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Funny. It is no holds barred day.
And he wants to retire from JFW. I mean, through a podcast and through what he knows about JFW. But thank you so much to Mike and Kelvin for interacting with us. And, this is what I was looking for. Like, who is listening that's not here and why?
Right.
And what do you think? So that was awesome.
Yeah, so again, if anybody's listening or hasn't responded, send us an email.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Also, Ricky De Leon, he asked me downstairs, hey, are the stickers on the back of the trailers working? And I was like, there's no way to tell. We have no idea.
Yeah.
Have listens gone up a little bit, but we don't know if it's from the stickers. So if you are listening and you're listening because you once saw a sticker on the back of a JFW trailer, let us know that as well. You can email anybody in this room. Jam, Jim, Dave, or dweldon@jfwtrucking.com.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've wondered about those stickers myself, and I can envision waiting in the pit, in a different company,
Right.
looking at that tailgate, and I guess what I'm leading up to is coming from the side of not being a podcast guy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when the little bit I'm in a vehicle, I enjoy music, right? Because it actually takes my brain off of work. It's like the tune out, right? Like that. You need to make that transition on the way home from work.
Winding down.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, you know how to write songs. So.
Man, I gotta let that go. Huh?
Not if we get it put to music. It'll never disappear.
Right? So anyway, I would be intrigued and go, I'm going to listen to that. How do I do it and figure it out, right? So.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately, we want everybody to listen, but to have other drivers listen.
Absolutely.
Learn about the company, perhaps maybe want to come work here.
Yeah.
Right? Get a feel for our culture, And it's like you said, what you hear is what you get.
Yeah.
We're not this way on the podcast and you get something like, this is who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, even if you don't come to work here, like you said, Jem, that may be a bonus to get someone to come to work here. But we've said all along, this is to make people better.
Right.
If we have any tips, driving tricks, any of that stuff, we need a better culture in trucking, period, across the board.
Yep.
Yeah, and even if it's not a tip or trick, Dave, and you mentioned earlier, maybe it's just that we're talking about it. So it's just refreshing in your mind. A following distance. Oh, those guys talked about that today. Maybe I should back off that car.
Right.
Oh, they talked about a mid trip. Hey, when I get out at lunch, I'm gonna kick my tires this time. That's just helping people remind.
Yeah. And that's again, that bounces me to the cameras. That's where we've become proactive instead of reactive with those cameras, helping out with that.
Oh yeah. Yep. Brother Dave, you had asked me to add this into the podcast, so you want to take it as far as pulling in or out of the fuel aisle?
Yeah, so at night here, obviously at the East Yard, or where the offices are, when you're coming in at the end of the day or the end of your shift, and you come into the fuel island and it's empty, there's no trucks there, please pull as far east as you can and use the pumps that are based off of Fuel Cloud. Now you ask, Jam, why should I do that?
Yeah, why not? It takes more effort to use my phone to get fuel, and I could just pull up to a pump that you don't need to use your phone.
Here's the reason why. There's always going to be 50 to 70 trucks behind you trying to get fuel. You've just given another truck and a half distance for another truck and a half to pull in the yard on each side of the fuel island. So please use the furthest east pumps available as soon as you can. Right?
Be a good teammate.
That's the goal.
Be a good teammate. Just think about it. If you were sitting on the street waiting to get fuel and there was a truck getting fuel, but he could have moved up one spot where you could both get fuel.
Right.
You know what they say, time is money. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and
help your teammates out.
And that's face and overcome all that stands before us, right?
Oh, yeah.
Don't just do your way or the easy way. Do what's right.
Yeah. Do what's good for everybody.
Yep.
Look at the whole pie.
Yeah, and the teammate thing, that's great for each other, but what about our neighbors?
Right.
They might, the guys across the street, they might be trying to leave, and if you were out of the way, they could leave.
Absolutely.
We had a bad review on Google, and this all happened kind of during the election time, and people were upset about the political stance we took, and so we started getting some bad reviews on Google, and one person actually wrote, I used to work across the street from JFW, and those guys think they own the road, and we would have trouble getting out and this and that. And somebody's like, well, why didn't you say something? And he's like, we didn't want to make it worse. We didn't want to make them angry where they would do it even more or something to that effect. And it's just like, come on, man. But I mean, to their point, when we're coming in the evening, it's a sea of red on the street here.
Yeah. I want to reemphasize here at this yard that keep in mind we have a north and a south pump dispenser, and they're to the point they get used marginally at best now.
Well, they used to get used more when we're out there calling people up the street.
Right.
And we're not out there calling people up the street probably because it's colder and we're not out there as much.
Right.
Or, we're busy doing other things.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Right.
If we're not out there calling it out, but you could still call and ask if those pumps are open.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the south pump gets used more. The north pump quite a bit less.
Yeah, a little difficult to get in there. Something else too, we might remind them, and I can't tell you, is it odds in the morning, evens at night? Do you guys remember?
We don't do that.
We haven't done that in a long time.
But
that's how it's based, yeah.
When I'm talking to people, we want people to fuel at night.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line, we have
if there's
six
Dave.
stations now, and let's get everybody fueled up so everybody's good to go in the morning.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, when I was driving, if I had to wait on the street for 20 minutes to get fuel, I would rather do that than have to get in the morning.
Absolutely.
I like taking things as far
too.
as possible as I can, but I guess the policy is...
Mainly because I'm not an early morning guy. I'm not going to give you that extra 30 minutes to fuel. I want to just get in, do my quick pre-trip, and go.
You know what a guy that fuels at night doesn't have to worry about in the morning?
Fuel.
There not being any fuel.
Right?
Yeah.
We haven't had that, knock on wood, we haven't had that problem in a little while.
Yeah.
Technology too, little GPS, early warning, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And just to mention a little more about the neighbor there, Jim, we could pull the card, that we were here first. We've been here a lot longer than that business across the street. We've always had trucks here. You can come up with all those excuses that, other people use, and that's not us. And if I don't know what we could have done about it, because we're trying to do everything we can now, if they would have come over and ask us, about it or complained. But, after we got that bad review, I told you, I said, I'd love to know who that guy is or send a message to him and go, hey, we'll buy you lunch. Sorry, we didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just
Sorry
to make up for it.
And it's probably as simple as not blocking a driveway.
Right.
Because there could be 100 trucks on the street. If the driveway's open, what's the big deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be able to go out and go on the northbound side or go south and go around the neighborhood. Yeah.
There can be a lot more communication, too, on the way in. There's, everyone's in their truck in the fuel line, right? As you're coming down the street or whatever, or you're getting ready to turn and you see a truck parked on the street, hey, is the north pump, south pump open? Can I come around and grab fuel on that side?
There are guys that do that, just not a whole bunch.
Yeah.
One guy I always see at the south pump is Leo Montez. He's always pulling to that pump.
Yeah.
Vince Meekins is the guy that uses that pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's guys that probably don't want
Smart.
to. They don't want to say anything because that's their pump.
At the end of the day, all the Freightliners are set up for it because their tank's on the left side. So they're set up for it to the best of my knowledge, unless I'm throwing that out there wrong.
Well,
For the north pump.
for the north.
Sorry.
pump.
Yeah, that's what I meant for the north pump.
Yeah.
And then all the rest of the trucks are set up for the south pump. So, but we have 10 Freightliners at this yard. So there's 10 trucks can fuel off that north pump alone.
Yeah, easy to get to that north pump with that truck.
Yep.
Dustin Romero wanted to bring up originally. So we've been doing the CMCA truck rodeo or the the CMCA, right?
Yes.
So it's a state championship.
Colorado Motor Carriers.
There you go. Their rule was you'd have to be employed here for a year and be accident free for that year to be able to participate in their truck rodeo. So we decided we're having our own truck rodeo this year, and I think we adopted that.
Yeah, we looked
policy.
at that for guidance, right?
Yeah.
Jim? Yeah.
I think Brother Dave mentioned, well, why? So that raised a lot of questions. So here's a note from Dustin Romero. The truck rodeo will be open to everyone that wants to participate, including mechanics and wash bay.
Why not? They move trucks.
They move trucks, right? And the sign-up sheet, man, I would just love to see Lexi win it. How awesome would that be?
Right?
And the sign-up sheets are at yard 23 in the driver's room, and also here at the main yard on the front counter and in the driver's room. And give Rick Ray a special shout-out for being a huge part of the Truck Radio Committee, and thank everyone on the committee for all their hard work. So you know how it is. Whenever we make an announcement and we single people out and say names, we always forget somebody. We forgot Rick Ray last week. So
Yep.
good job, Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Thanks for everybody on the committee that's focusing on that. And I know Dave mentioned it on the podcast last week, but the committee took all the ideas and went over it. And like you said, we were using that for a guideline, Jam, on the CMCA. Right. And I'm glad to see this. I don't know if I would have even put mechanics and wash bay in there because I'm so stuck on the driver part of it. Right. But they all move trucks. Why not have it? Let's have it a JFW family event.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good. Yeah, and I know they're asking to. Ann was working on it. They had some ideas, but Ann was doing some polishing on a pretty cool logoed shirt for the
participants.
Participants. Hopefully. We'll see what the cost is, but maybe everybody can get a rodeo. I'm not promising anything, but
I mean, I might have to participate if I'm gonna get a shirt.
Right? It's pretty cool, Jam. Yeah, it was.
All right, moving on to safety topics of the week. So this isn't really a safety topic, but JR pulled some interesting stats from Samsara, and I just love these. So last year, 2022. JFW drove a combined total of 6,007,607 miles.
I got to jump in there. After Samsara were installed.
Yeah,
that's not for the full year.
Yeah, so we're I just ran it.
We'd
Dave.
be closer to 10 million miles. We should be over 9.
8.5 million.
Okay, yeah,
is where we're at. So 8.5 million for 2022.
Nice. I stand corrected, and that's a great point. I didn't even think about it.
Because May,
because Samsara, we didn't have it for the full year, right?
Yeah. I feel like we did, but obviously we did not. What did we get in March?
I think so. Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
That's one thing I feel that we've done that works really well.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Samsara has been a win-win.
Mm-hmm. We had a comprehensive demo on it, and it wasn't one person working on it. It was everyone. Yeah. There was and you headed that up, Jam. You did a comprehensive job on that. That was awesome, man.
Appreciate that.
Kudos to you.
Thanks. We had
Jam, can I on the Samsara thing, because you talk about we talk about partnerships and stuff, because. Do you mind dropping a little bit? Because Monarch had a lot to do. Samsara is the product,
right,
but Monarch seemed to step up and do a lot. So I want to give them a shout out.
Yeah, Kristen Gaxiola and Carrie Hilligus. She actually listened to a podcast, I think, when she was trying to sell it to us. I mean, at the end of the day, they're salespeople, right? But they've been an absolute pleasure to work with. And we had tested Samsara. When we first started looking at cameras, before we ever had Geotab and Surfsight, we did a 30-day trial with Samsara. And I can't remember if we didn't love it or it didn't have the technology that it does now, but we ended up going back with them. Then we were doing the Geotab Surfsight thing, and we get calls from salespeople all the time, and somebody transferred me a call. I think I was upset that they transferred the call because it's some girl wanting to sell us cameras, right? So I'm like, we're all set. We do this, and, we've actually tested Samsara. Well, did you test it when it had this? Well, no, we didn't. Like, she got a foot in the door pretty good. Then we did a 30-day trial on like three cameras, and we loved it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I almost felt like it was longer than 30 days for some reason, Jan.
Well, it ended up being longer because we ended up, we were going to go with them. So by the time we got the paperwork done and the contract, they didn't turn those 3 cameras off.
Yeah.
It was probably 45 to 60 days that we had those 3 cameras. And we tested them on a couple drivers that we thought weren't so hot and one of the ones that we thought were. You know what I mean? It was a process. But, yeah, the Samsara thing, that was a win-win. I'm 100% satisfied with the cameras and their customer service. Now, Monarch is a third-party provider, I guess you would say.
Hey, it's like buying a Peterbilt from Rush Truck Center,
Exactly.
right? It's no different.
And I got to tell you, I love dealing with Monarch more than I like to deal with Samsara because, I'm loyal. And just to be transparent, somebody from Samsara was reaching out to us to see if we wanted more cameras. And right away, I went to Monarch like, hey, we need more cameras. By the way, and I don't think that's supposed to be going on. And, of course, they were super appreciative of that.
Yeah, good.
So, yeah. We had 2,039 events reviewed and 1,414 events coached. So that means 2,039 videos were watched just on their alerts. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you had a harsh event, whether it be a hard stop, following too close, speeding, blown stop sign. Somebody watched the video 2,039 times. And then 14 of them were actual events that needed to be coached. The company has an overall safety score of 92, which I think 90 was the bar. So company-wide, we're over that, which is great. But this is what I love, and this is what a lot of people are going to like. Well, one person in particular. The safest driver in 2022 on Samsara was Nat Bisignano. And I know he worked really hard. He was at 100. I don't know where he finished, but he was at 100, and he does a lot of miles. And, yeah, great job, Nat. He was followed by Dwayne Potter, Troy Holmes, and Herb Turner. Herb doesn't really ask about it. He's just that safe. Dwayne, I know Potter, he actually works hard, and he's asked where he's at. Same thing with Troy Holmes. So great job to all you guys, though. That's amazing.
That is awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thanks, Nat. I mean, great. I mean, that's number one, buddy.
Yeah.
Number one.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I thought those were cool stats.
Only because I'm not involved in it enough, Jam. It makes me wonder how many we have under 90. If 90 is the bar, that can create a lot more coaching sessions, and those are obviously those people that are under 90 are having more events, obviously, right?
Yep.
That could use some coaching on that. So that would be interesting to know that statistic as well. And, we could take our safety team and kind of work on that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's find the people that are below 90 for the year, that they've been here the year, and get them above 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that group, like you're asking, who's all above 90? Do we have 50 guys above 90, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at 91 and whatever, or the other ones, maybe that's a shout out, a weekly shout out or a monthly shout out. And,
right.
I know we try to do a lot with gifts and events and money giveaways and stuff like that, but it's also just positive to have a pat on the back, and maybe that's we give you all a pat on the back when you break 90.
Yeah.
I like it. So yesterday I got a call from Coleman O'Mara. He was asking about if he could have some input about the podcast on the podcast today, and he was talking about being proactive versus reactive. And at the end of the conversation, I was like, Coleman, can you just email me what you would like me to say, because I want it to be from you. And he was like, yeah, I could do that. I was like, just make sure I have it before 6 a.m. tomorrow. He had it to me last night. And boy, I was blown away. Number one, by how well written it was and everything he had to say. So I'll go ahead and read this to everybody. Good morning, JFW family. As I was driving back to the yard yesterday, I noticed I was finding myself reacting to drivers around me and waiting for something to happen before I made my driving decisions. I asked myself, what can we do as professional drivers to avoid sudden stops, impatient drivers, and all the wonders that being a driver holds? I wish the answer could be black and white, but unfortunately it isn't. There are many ways that we manage ourselves in these situations, but there is one idea we can all get behind: proactive driving. What I mean by proactive driving is putting ourselves ahead of a situation before it ever happens. Here are a few ideas / observations that I've had. Leave an extra few seconds of following distance. Periodically check all your mirrors. Be aware of what is happening around your truck and trailer. If you see something that doesn't look right, give that vehicle extra space. I love that. So instead of speeding up and being more of the problem, just back off. Be courteous, right? Expect the unexpected from drivers. They don't want to be behind us and will do just about anything to get ahead. Blinkers aren't always commonly used. Survey the road and traffic conditions ahead of you. Look further than a few cars ahead. Traffic can come to a sudden stop, and an extra 2 seconds of space can really make a difference. If road conditions aren't ideal, slow down. Anticipate what lane you need to be in Anticipate what lane you need to be in for exits. We typically know what exit we're taking and what lane to be in after the exit. Change to that lane further from the exit and slow down to traffic speeds. This is awesome. Those are just a few examples of ways we can practice proactive driving. Even if we are proactive and attentive to our surroundings, we still need to make sure we are prepared for any situation that may be thrown our way. There will always be things that happen where we must react and make split-second decisions. With following proactive driving practices, we can work together and be accident-free and continue doing what we all love to do. Thank you for your time, and happy trucking, everyone. Coleman.
That is just awesome.
Isn't that all?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Huh. Thank you, Coleman, for putting this together, taking the time to do it, thinking of ways to be safer. I got to turn you on to, if you've never heard of it, the Smith system. They address a lot of these things to you, and I'd love to send you that link to see what you think about it. So
I like his point he made about being aware of what is happening around your truck and trailer.
Right.
So you're not just looking at what's out in front of you. You're looking at what's beside you, what's behind you.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes somebody's doing something really bad behind you, and you're like, whoa, that guy's, going to hit me or something.
Right.
Yeah, we just coming in the other morning, we had somebody bonus lane us, Dave, the right lane. And
Yeah.
Dave's like, this guy's going to pass us all.
Was it James and Erica?
Yeah, right. And but yeah, the guy passed three cars behind us, passed me and Dave, and that's paying attention behind you.
Yeah.
And
His bonus lane ended, and he was running down the shoulder of the road to do it.
yeah, he was way past the bonus
4:40
line.
in the morning. It
Bonus,
was crazy.
bonus.
Yeah.
Was the cop car behind him?
Oh, I wish.
Oh man, I mean,
you
to be a
love those,
cop and
don't you?
catch those guys once in a while just must be so satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
right. Just talk about it. That's the day you enjoy your job and
Right.
writing that ticket.
Right?
You know why I pulled you over? You were driving like an idiot.
Yep.
I just saw a TikTok on that. A cop walks up to a guy's car and says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And the driver, this is so wrong. He looks at the cop. He goes, "Because you got all C's in high school."
Oh, man.
I was like, "Ooh,
Wow.
not a good start to that relationship."
That's not clean talk.
That's not
That is
clean
not.
talk, is it?
That reminds me of the movie when I can't remember his name, but he couldn't tell a lie, and the cop did that. He said, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And he just started ripping out like 30 different
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
Wasn't that called Liar Jim Carrey? Right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. Thanks, Jim.
Dave, I know I've told you this story, but my wife is so honest, right? Like she's like Jim Carrey. She can't tell a lie. And she got stopped one night coming home. This was years ago in Lafayette somewhere, Lafayette or Louisville. And the cop walked up and did that same thing. "Do you know why I stopped you?" And she looked right at him and said, "Because I don't have my seatbelt on." And he goes, "No, you shouldn't have told me that. You were speeding." And he wrote her a ticket for seatbelt and speeding. And I'm like, wow, that's rough. You
Yeah,
know? And,
that's
you know,
not-
that was obviously back before seatbelt dingers. I mean, that's how long ago it
Yeah.
was, right?
By the way, I didn't yield back there either.
Yeah, right. Yeah, last week I did a rolling stop at 144th and Zuni.
Could you write me for that?
Yeah, exactly. I just thought, man, I don't know if I could have written her a ticket for the seatbelt
Right.
when she was
Yeah.
being honest.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, I don't know. That was a rough one. Hey, I
I
want
want to
to
know. I want to know why she didn't have her seatbelt on though.
that it was back. She was in a vehicle that, the dingers didn't go off, and she was busy doing something and just didn't have it on, because she's not one of those people that go, "I'm not going to wear a seatbelt." She's safety conscious, right?
Got it,
So
got it,
yeah,
got
it was a weird gig, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing, Jim. I mean, you're the same age. We grew up with
Same age as who?
me. Not Scooby though. He's so
man.
old. But we didn't have seatbelts when I grew up. There was no law. You didn't have to put the
we
seatbelt
did.
on. And
Yeah, we had them, but they were always gone. They were
Yeah,
down
they were tucked
in between
behind the
the.
seat.
Well,
yeah,
no,
the
they were
crack of the
attached to a
seat.
parent. It was their arm, like shunk.
Wait, the Model T Fords didn't have seatbelts?
not
I
talking.
thought all horse carriages had seatbelts.
I know the station wagon had seatbelts, Jim.
Hey, I want to back up to Coleman here. I know we talked about a safety campaign last week with our right lane change issues that we keep bringing up, but he put a deal in there, proactive driving, Jim. We've been kind of bantering some emails around with our group,
Yep.
and that's one, proactive driving.
I like that. I'm still
It's
stuck
not a
on-
catchy tune, right? But it's just factual.
Stuck
Yeah.
on my one yesterday. Don't crash. Give a crap.
I like that. You guys never respond to mine. Be safe or die. I mean,
That's because you said you could just keep going.
right.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck on this clean truck, clean dress, clean speech, clean driving. I know it's not. It could be. Oh, you put it safe truck, safe something like
I
that.
tried to change because it's not catchy, but it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the Coleman too, on the proactive, Dave, me and you seen it this morning. I wanted to mention it is, I try to pick out which line, but he says, slow up for the conditions. Yeah, survey the road and traffic conditions ahead of you, and you might need to slow up. But on the way in, all of I-25 was snowpacked this morning. Absolutely no lines. You couldn't see any lines, anything like that. We got on 136 southbound, and I said, "Wow, Dave, this big truck's coming. You could, and I was up to enough speed. I wasn't going to outrun him, and he ended up passing us. And I don't drive slow, but I don't drive. I think I drive pretty good, right? And he actually kept pulling away from us, disappearing from us in
Work
traffic.
in traffic. He was off to the right side,
Yeah,
passing in
yeah.
the slow lane, and then he was out to the fast lane, passing in the fast lane.
This
Yeah.
morning,
Yeah, on
big
snowpack.
truck, big truck. I mean, he was
53-foot van.
Yeah. And Dave's like, I can't drive like that. And he's like, what do you think? And I'm like, that's what we talk about with the other guys. Like, oh, I can make it to that exit. I can pass these two guys and get off. I know exactly where my exit is instead of dropping behind. But you become numb to what you're driving and what the conditions are, because maybe that guy's driven from, I don't know, somewhere in Wyoming in the snow.
Yeah, he just came in from Wheatland.
Yeah, all morning long, and he's comfortable. He thinks that's okay.
Right.
But the rest of the idiots,
Just got out of bed.
yes,
Yeah.
and they could go anywhere in front of him,
And
there's
he couldn't stop.
No way to stop.
There's no way to stop.
way
He's
to
on
stop.
he's on snowpack.
Yeah.
And trust me, it's not you could have spun out if you couldn't drive this morning, right? I mean,
right.
it was, when I say snowpack, to me it was loose snow slush.
And it wasn't that the
packed,
guy
right?
wasn't awake, because he was working traffic.
Oh, buddy, he was wide-eyed,
He was on top of
bushy-tailed,
what
yeah.
he was doing. And
Yeah.
and if something happened in front of him,
He was screwed.
if he was lucky enough, I was going to say, Dave, he is screwed, but I could see him driving right around it.
Yeah. Right.
He wouldn't have hit the brakes. He wouldn't have jackknifed. He would have worked it and went
yeah.
right around it. And you would have went, oh, my God. That guy might think he's good, but that's going to end at some point. That's not.
And the word I think we're looking for, or words in there, is situational awareness.
Yeah.
That vehicle needed to be slowed down. He needed to be aware of his situation and surroundings and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. In the situational awareness, those are the things we talk about when we have a driver going 15 miles an hour in the yard.
Right.
Or comes in the driveway down the street so hot that, you're thrown from the passenger or the driver's seat to the passenger seat because you hit our curb entrance that fast and that hard, and the trailer bangs in and you're, 12 miles an hour through the yard. And it's like, whoa, that's, do you get where you're at?
Yeah, I wrestled
Do you
with
understand?
that. Right, I wrestled with that last week, Dave, because either Thursday or Friday without you, I pulled in and parked in my spot. And I was just sitting there. I think I was actually talking on the phone, and I watched 3 drivers run the stop sign down here in their personal cars.
Coming to work?
Coming to work.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the one
Well,
guy.
it's okay. They're coming to work.
Right? Well, the one guy was like, okay, should I go chase him down? Because we've confronted him, and people go, well, that's my personal car.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, the same way you act in that is the same way you drive a truck.
Yeah.
And you got everything else on your mind, getting to work, maybe getting fueled up, maybe you're going to do a pre-trip, or whatever. But to run that stop sign,
Yeah.
that just doesn't
Not a good
work.
look.
Yeah.
I got passed by this maniac this morning driving a red pickup truck.
Mine's blue. I'm out.
Is there a truck?
Well, that was an example, Jam. I had already driven like 20 miles by the time you get on it. I was in the groove in the left lane, just easing along, and
Yeah, I was barely warmed up. I'm not real familiar with our pickup yet, and I'm just like taking it easy. There's slow traffic ahead of me. I'm just like, I'm gonna just chill here for a minute. And
Whoosh.
yeah, it wasn't that fast.
The garage sale past you.
I was doing 41. He was probably doing 50.
So you remember passing me and Dave last week on 56 then, right, Jim?
What? Was I just trying to see how much power the new Dodge has? Or?
It was doing good.
Yeah?
I'm not going to say anything because he followed me getting on 270 Monday night.
Yeah. He goes, last night I get to the metering light there on 270. Jam, it was funny. It was like, oh, perfect timing. And it went green, and then when I got to it, it was red. And I was like, oh, man, I missed it. And Dave's like, that's okay. Jam was behind me last night.
So when I passed you guys, was I coming back from the gym, or what was the situation, and how fast was I going? I want to know.
It was the other morning. I don't even think
Coming to work?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't have been doing nothing too terrible.
No,
okay.
I'm just, no. We were driving 50, and you got around us.
You were doing 50 on 56?
Uh-huh.
How dare you? Speed limit's 45.
You showed us we could go 60.
You know what they say? Anyone going slower than you doesn't know how to drive. Anyone going faster than you is a maniac.
Absolutely.
Get your shit
it's
together.
so true, Jam.
Oh, man. Let's talk about safety and then how we drive.
Yeah. Who wants to take tips and tricks? I'm over here just relishing and not relishing, but just thinking about my actions.
Oh, man.
Dave's been pretty quiet this morning, I think.
He's got the high road
Tips-
hauling coming up.
tips and
but
tricks.
I'm sure he could
do.
pull both off.
What?
I'll do tips and tricks.
Okay.
I'll get
Can you
it.
do it in a country melody?
Where is that coming from? Were you like singing yesterday afternoon
Oh,
when
you
I
got-
wasn't here, or what?
You missed
Strap
it,
your
Dave.
boots on.
Yeah. Should we leave it as a surprise,
It's up
Jam?
to Dave. I don't want to out him if he doesn't want to be outed.
Well, you've already outed me, man.
No, it's just that's just preemptive
Yeah.
hints.
Dave,
Sales?
Let's just
Yeah.
say Brother Dave's been working on something big for the JFW family and the Channel 23 podcast.
All right, perfect. We'll leave it at that. So we got tips and tricks from Son, it looks like. Son Ray Davis. I'm just messing with you, Ray. It's Sean, I know that, but we missed an H on here, so it's spelled Son. So anyway,
Dave's been picking on me all morning.
Ray, he sent to us, and his caption is, control the incline of the trailer. And many of you are like, what is an incline of the trailer, right? What he means by that is many drivers do not consider the fact that they do not need to completely raise their trailer. Man, we're all on a roll.
That's what you get.
Right? Paybacks. To effectively empty it, right? So what he's getting at is, there's many jobs that you get to, and like when you're hauling squeegee or pea gravel, that stuff just rolls out of the trailers on level ground, right? 3 stages, you're darn near empty, right? I think when you raise it all the way up, it's just to ensure that the nose is empty. But on level ground, that squeegee and pea gravel just rolls out. It's like beads, like it's round or something almost. So
Yeah, where I used to get a kick out of it is in an empty grate, Dave, where nothing stacks up behind the trailer. I mean, you're literally like, he's talking a dump angle. I'm going to say halfway up.
Yeah.
And your trailer's empty.
You're empty at
Yeah.
4 stages. You don't need to go up the last stage.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
know what's cool about that is
And
when we used to haul the old Plant 1,
Yeah.
where you couldn't
waited,
spill, right? You
You
had to
waited.
wait.
Yeah.
You could raise that trailer up 3 stages and the squeegee or pea gravel would start rolling out. And it was the coolest sound on the
You're like,
gate against the wall.
Yeah.
And that gate would just kind of roll across the material with it as it was waving back there almost as the material was cascading out, because it didn't just flow out in one big pile. It was unloading itself, right? I mean, it was always cool to watch. But anyway, so back to Ray here. He says the chances to tip over in specific. Oh, let me back up. You're keeping the center of gravity lower if you don't raise the trailer up as high as you need to right? If the material's coming out. So the chances for a tip over in those specific conditions are much less for the driver than going all the way up. Know how far you need to go up to dump effectively. The reason he brings this up is he talked to a driver recently, and the driver asked him, why do we look out our back window? He was never told. And first off...
He was never told the reason.
Yes, the reason.
But he was told to look out the back window.
Yes, but he was never told the reason.
And I misread that the other day. Yep.
So Ray let him know the reason we look out the back window is instantly when we raise the trailer out of what we call the saddle, it has those two C mounts on the bottom of the, I'll call it the bed or the cavern that the material is held in, right? When those two C cups lift off of the saddle, that's what we call what those two sit on. You can instantly see whether one side raises before the other. That's always the first indicator. Technically, that to me is the second or third indicator, right? Your first one should be when you're pulling into where you're going to dump if you're on a job site. The second one should be as you're backing the trailer up and you're looking in your mirrors. Whether it's a job site, we always relate it to a job site, like a dirt job, where you're backing up and you're looking in the mirrors and you're physically seeing that trailer go side to side as you're backing up. Well, that can still happen when you back up at a plant. It's going to be level as long as you're on the concrete. But if you back up and you stop on top of a pile on, like let's say you're looking in the driver's mirror and you back the passenger side up on top of a little, I call it a little leading edge where the loader pushed up material, but he's left a bucket edge out. So you're looking in the driver's mirror when you back up, which that's the purpose again of head on a swivel and looking in both mirrors, and you put that right side on a little pile of material. Well, when you look in the mirror, that trailer should be leaning a little bit. You should pick that up, right? And so step number 3 would be you stop, go through the procedure, start to raise the trailer up. You see it lift out of one side of the saddle before the other, or once it comes up, the whole trailer leans to one side or the other. It just shouldn't do that. So those are all your very first inklings. When I say the first thing to look at the saddle, that truly is like number 2 or 3 in there. So Ray goes on further in here. He said, I let him know why we look out the back window because the first is when it comes out of the saddle. And he said, everything is to shift to one side. You are most likely unlevel or loaded to one side, and you can reposition yourself to dump safely. Also, I've heard or seen drivers pull forward without going all the way up. It's better to pull forward halfway up than go all the way up if you're that high in a dump. What? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think he said...
the driver saying that? The guy that he's talking to?
Yeah. I've heard and seen drivers pull forward without going all the way up, thinking it's better to pull forward.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not. They think it's better, but
gotcha.
It's not.
It is not. Let's clarify that. Always run that trailer all the way up before you pull forward. That trailer's got to be all the way in the air before you pull forward. Super Dave describes it. If you have that trailer up 3 stages, you're facing down a ramp, it's got fry rock on, you still have half the load in the nose or the full part of the load in the nose. The back half of the trailer is empty, so you've taken that anchor point away because there's no weight on the duals. It's all in the nose. If it's leaning, it's going to lean really bad pulling forward. It becomes a catapult and actually carries you over. So,
yeah, I think inertia was the word you used, Super Dave.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, always run that trailer all the way up before you pull forward. And you have to know that material's sliding out of the nose. And that's when you're looking out the back window and you're seeing material come around the trailer tires and around the back of the gate there. That's how you know it's safe to pull forward, right?
Can I mention something, Dave?
Absolutely.
Maybe a little bit of a clarification, because I think raising it all the way up, and Ray started in the beginning, that you don't have to raise it all the way up because the material a lot of time is coming out, right?
Yeah.
But the key here is, I just want everybody to understand, is I think when they move, they think that will let more material out because it looks like it stopped moving.
No, good point, Jim. That is a good point.
The pile has stopped moving, but as you raise it all the way up or maybe inch your trailer to you, the rest of the material is moving out of the nose to the top of that pile.
Right.
That's where the material is going. That's what we're trying to move, is the stuff out of the nose to the top of the pile that's already created.
On the ground.
On the ground.
Yes.
The movement that you make after the trailer's already at the top forward, that's just clearing the pile.
Yes.
You've dumped your whole load.
Yes.
And I don't think people really realize that all the way up is you've dumped all your load because unless it's frozen, everything is out of the nose.
Absolutely.
No matter what you do, there's enough room behind the trailer for the load to come out on the ground.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's the real important thing to know before you move that trailer at all. You've got to be sure that you have nothing in the nose.
Yeah, there's nothing in the nose.
Because
Dave,
that's
right?
where you're going to get top heavy. And
Yeah.
something I used to tell everybody when I trained them was you have to be aware of the different materials as well.
Oh, for
You know,
sure.
you're dumping a load of pea gravel, it's going to come out like little ball bearings. If you're loaded with dirt or compost, that stuff is not sliding out.
Probably like
Absolutely,
the
Dave.
gray fines. I don't know what the real
Right.
name is up at Arcosa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
That stuff
going
we're
to
taking to CMEX.
yeah, going to CMEX. Yeah, that's a whole different animal of material.
And that's when you have to become a physicist and understand temperatures.
Yeah.
Right? Are we below freezing? We've got some sticking material, moisture content. A lot of variables go into what we do. So, and, back to that inertia, I guess, if you were to raise that trailer up 3 stages, it's leaning to the side already. You pull forward 10 feet because the back half of the trailer broke free and you hit those brakes, that is
Slap it.
just going to sling that trailer to the ground sideways. I mean, that's the inertia that we're talking about.
Yeah, there was, when we were going over this, David, don't mean to interrupt you, there's such a gray area to dumping, and the gray area is types of materials, the ground you're looking on the job site, all that kind of stuff. But there's 2 things you should never do. And that's one, if it's leaning, you got to set it down.
Yep.
And the other thing is you don't move until the trailer's all the way up. There is no in between on that. You don't move
Yeah.
if the trailer's not all the way up
Yeah.
and you haven't emptied that nose.
Yep, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, go
No,
ahead, David.
Ray just finishes off by he's saying, I'm trying to get all of this information out and, just trying to help everybody out. So he says, have a great day, and just trying to get the word out. And he says, love y'all, Ray.
Nice.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Ray.
Yep, win-win. Ray's thrown, like 3 weeks worth of tips out there
Throwing
now.
heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But comprehensive thoughts here.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
trying to break
Yeah.
it down on what is the best.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've backed in someplace on a dirt job. I know a lot of guys don't run that much where you're twisted. It's the only spot on the job site. You need to get it dumped, and the trailer's your back end is leaned one way, your front end is leaned the other way, but between the 2 twists, that's a straight dump. It's going to go up and dump, and you go all the way to the top.
Yeah.
You empty that nose out
Yeah.
so you can move.
You don't
Yep.
move, yep. Yeah, what guys don't understand, though, too, like you said, Jim, the tractor could be in a hole.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in that driver's seat saying, wow, I'm not empty. Excuse me, I'm not level at all.
But the trailer is.
Well, I used to go back and make sure.
Yeah.
Check that rear axle and,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's just some. I mean, it's like when we started pulling the trailers with the big, the singles or the wide base tires. Man, they dig a hole.
they do.
When you dump, if you're in sand or doing a golf job, I mean, even in rock, they knock you a hole.
Yeah.
Well, I always thought the scariest part was pulling if you didn't bring it to you, and I was really on an unlevel place.
Pulling that trailer out of the hole.
Yeah, I don't move that trailer, right? I don't suck it to me. I leave it still. Well, you're cutting a big ass hole usually if you haven't cracked the brakes.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Dave, when you lift that trailer out of the hole, I want to know my nose is empty,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
Because it's going to rock coming out of that
Yeah.
hole, those 2
Yep.
holes.
Turbo showed me how to prevent that. Freewheel the trailer until your front axle starts to lift off the ground.
Yep.
Then set your trailer brake, and you will have no holes.
Right.
Yeah, that's the reason I said crack that brake,
Yeah.
off so you're free if you're not using it to hold yourself there.
Yeah.
Or like there's just so much. I guess there's so much. You can set the tractor brake and do a complete dump, walking that trailer to you as long as you're level.
Yeah.
And then release your brakes. So, yeah.
Makes a taller, rounder pile when you do that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Soup, the moment we've all been waiting for, the high road hauling.
The high road hauling. This week's high road hauling is about something I think that everybody admires and everybody wishes they had more of. and it is more important than smarts or a high IQ or having money so you can go to college or something like that.
Man, I can't wait to hear this one.
It's about grit, Brother Dave.
Gritty.
Yep. Grit is the great equalizer out there. Grit is defined as the strength of spirit and mind, further explaining this concept as the capacity to dig deep and do whatever it takes, even sacrifice, struggle, and suffer to achieve your most worthy goals in the best ways possible. Anyone at any time, whatever their background or resources, can lay claim to it. It's grit. And that takes people with ordinary accomplishments to become extraordinary at anything they put their mind to. For example, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, had a 2.65 GPA in high school. That's just above a C average. And he dropped out of college. Michael Jordan didn't make the cut for his high school varsity basketball team. Was that coach stupid or what? Colin Powell, a four-star general, Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, held a C average in high school. None of these guys showed the it factor, supreme intelligence, virtuoso talent, or a pedigree birthright that predicted their ultimate success. Instead, they possessed the grit factor, a steadfast and tireless work ethic that made all the difference. We know that passion and perseverance matter more than talent or intelligence when it comes to being successful. And the great thing about grit is that working harder, smarter, more passionately, and longer is something we all control. Grit goes beyond sheer tenacity or perseverance. You must be sure you're working towards a worthy goal in a smart way. The fact is there are two kinds of grit, smart grit and dumb grit. Dumb grit is basically pursuing less than ideal goals using poor planning and tactics, going after really dumb stuff in really dumb ways. The four building blocks that form and fuel grit are growth, resilience, instinct, and tenacity. To be more successful, you should gauge your strength with each. Growth, your prosperity to seek and consider new ideas, additional alternatives, different approaches, and fresh perspectives. Resilience, it's your ability to respond to adversity in a constructive and positive way. Instinct, your gut-level capacity to pursue the right goals in the best and smartest ways. And tenacity, I love that, because tenacity is something you got in your heart, It's the degree to which you persist, commit to, stick with, and relentlessly go after something. And the quote this week is awesome. Failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough, by Og Mandino. So there you go. Develop your grit.
Nice.
We talk about grit a lot around here.
Yeah, JR had that cool acronym last week.
Yeah. What was that? Can you repeat that?
Can't remember it. It was cool, though.
It was.
Have to look that one up because that was good, Jim.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember to bring that back. Yeah, I think about different, I don't know, it made me think about the grit, Dave, and the tenacity. And I know I talk about my kids quite a bit, but Erica, she was younger, I don't know, maybe 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there, and she wanted to play basketball, and she went to a basketball camp, and I was sitting there coaching. It was boys and girls, and they were running laps, and Erica just basically outran all the boys, doing the, what do you call it on the gym floor when you're doing
like the burpees,
suicides.
Yeah, she just, and I was like, Erica wasn't. I was standing there. I was like, oh, Erica's just not going to let any of the boys beat her, And she finished, and the coach immediately, noticed her and all the boys. So you're going to let that little girl outrun all you boys, and that's just that touch of tenacity, Dave.
Right.
Whether she's going to do it if she died, basically,
Right.
And
She must also realize that she was a track person and not a basketball
right.
person.
She did have a little love. She liked to run,
Yes,
and
she did.
And I can, with all of us, I can think of times, and Allie, my middle daughter, she broke her ankle during a race, during a mud race and fell off the monkey bars and broke her ankle. And just the strength and tenacity she had, laying there and getting through that. And, other competitors were like, oh my God, that girl broke her ankle. And at one point, Allie's like, it's okay. You can just finish the race. Go ahead and finish the race to the other competitors, So yeah, just a little something on tenacity. I pick it out, so it's
That's
good.
awesome.
It's amazing to have that. And when it shows up, I guess.
It's got to be awesome to see you girls.
Yeah. I'm bragging, Jam. It's just something that, makes my heart feel good.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
They got that from somewhere.
Well, maybe. That's part where if you take a compliment, right, Dave, and how you perceive that.
Yep.
So, you lead by
you
lead by example.
You can thank Grandma and Grandpa.
There you go. Thanks, Dave. Oh, man. That was a good one.
Dang, dad jokes at the end of the show.
That's what. Hey, just right quick. So
It's a cool down.
it is a cool down. So
Closing
Brother
arguments.
being brother.
since we brought Rick Gray up, forgot to mention him last week. Okay, so maybe a double shout out. So he sends me a dad joke just a few minutes ago,
Nice.
but I'm going to save it for next week if I can remember it. But he sent me something earlier, just a little post, and it's a plaque that says "Application for Employment," and he says, if you think your boss is stupid, remember, you wouldn't have a job if he was any smarter.
That sounds like Rick,
doesn't it?
It's like he wrote that and put it on a plaque.
It is just so Rick. Yeah, it's a good one. Just
That's funny.
yeah.
Final thoughts, everybody? Who wants to kick it off?
Yeah, I could go. I kind of felt like when I was looking at it today that it was more of a high road haul in Dave than Super Dave than a final thought. But it's about relationships, and I guess it was kind of, as we're talking about, doing your job, is what kind of relationship do we have with everybody, whether it's a personal relationship, with your significant other or a friend at work. And it says it focuses on 4 types of relationships: family relationships, friendships, acquaintanceships, and romantic relationships. And I think we all have here. We try to build relationships, friendships, and a not really an acquaintanceships, but the friendships. And a perfect relationship is one where you live and let live. Understanding is deep, and you respect the other person's individuality. And sometimes for myself, we talked about it yesterday with all you guys, that when you get upset and you let that overwhelm you, and you might call it a passion, but you're not having any understanding for that other person's views. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when I get upset and I get angry, I'm shutting that part of myself off. Mm-hmm. and I need to work on that. And then just being able to go back, and because I feel really bad, and usually I do a pretty good job about apologizing, is I screwed up, I'm sorry, right? I shouldn't have done that. But then the acceptance of each other as they are, with their merits and their demerits. All of us have flaws, but again, do you have grit? Do you have tenacity? Do you have, passion, where you're exhibiting all of those traits, but you still made a mistake? That's different. That's building a friendship. And just wanted to end it on this one. A strong, healthy relationship is built on the 3 C's: communication, compromise, and commitment. Mm. And we talked earlier about the communication. Then we all make a compromise, right? Because we got to, once something's communicated to us, there's going to be a compromise. How do we fix this? But we all still have a commitment to what we're doing and doing it right.
I like that. The 3 C's. Have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
That sounds like some of the struggles we've gone through with the county.
Yeah.
Right? with IPOC, the 3 C's.
Yeah.
There needs to be.
But we talked about that, if I don't get off track, Dave, and I see the struggles with the county is, let's work together, but we're still going to do this. And then as business owners, we try to really, really get along, a give and take. Let's give them a little. We're not going to get everything we want, so let's give them a little.
Right.
But the temperature now is when you get to the end of it, it didn't matter what you gave. This is just the rule.
Right.
And we're making this box so only certain people fit in it, not everybody if they meet these criteria.
Right.
You're outside the box. Can you do this to get in it? It's not perfect, but you've sure worked your ass off to get there.
Yeah. We say it in a lot of different capacities anymore, but it's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in different realms, right? In the trucking world, the trucks aren't like they used to be, but we still have to work with them, right? I mean, the land use issues aren't like they used to be, but we still have to work with them. So, yeah, a lot of the go along to get along.
Yeah.
So,
and you can take it a little farther. It's not like it used to be. Let's just talk about, just touch a little bit racism. I don't want it to be like it used to be.
Yeah.
Right? That's wrong. I see the county coming to us and go, listen, it's not going to be like it used to be because we have bad actors, or you dumped fuel all over the place, or whatever you might have been doing. Just change your oil and let it dump in the dirt. That's not how it used to be. But not allowing you to dispose of it properly on your site because you're storing it for 2 days while the truck come fix it up?
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
There's a, we can get political because we can go to the natural gas thing. That just burns me up.
Oh,
We got time.
Right? Let's just outlaw natural gas. You know what? It's frustrating. Let's outlaw plastic bags. I don't want to, plastic bags are for you, but in the meantime, let's charge 10 cents for a bag so the state can make some money.
Right.
That's going to help you break into no bags at all.
Sure.
Come on, Jam. Help me out.
Don't get me on the plastic bags. I just bring my own little totes into the supermarket with me.
Yeah.
Now.
Holly
But
did.
do you remember to bring them in? That's what pisses me off, man.
Well, you're starting to. You're about.
You're
going to break a habit, Dave, right now.
For 3 years, I haven't remembered to bring them in.
Right, but you're going to have to start. Yeah, Holly said she went to the store last night, and she says, hey, grab the bag in the back. It's pretty heavy. And I went to go grab the bag, and I'm like, Jesus, it's really heavy. But then there's all this other food, like, spread all over the back of the car. And I'm like, what's up with those, Holly? And she goes, obviously, I didn't bring a big enough bag. And the guy asked, do you want a bag? And she goes, nope.
Yep. That's our biggest dilemma is how do we find poop bags now for the dogs?
Yeah.
Now we're going to have to buy poop bags. But when I bought JR's pickup truck, in the back of the pickup, he had these two, I call them totes, but they're like containers, but they're made by Husky, and we got a load bar behind them. So the other day I go to King Supers, and I don't have a bag. They're like, you want a bag? I'm like, nope. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. You're just going to take it all loose? Yeah. And then I threw it all in the tote, and I carry that thing in the house.
Right.
Away I go.
Yeah.
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 Actually,
Allie told me last night that she was wondering because she does the curbside, and when they bring it out curbside, it's always in bags. So she's like, I wonder how they're going to do it. So she did curbside last night. So on the initial order, Jim, they charge you $1 right up front. So you're good for 100 bags, right?
Oh.
10 cents a bag, 100 bags, right? So when she gets there, they go, would you like bags? Or I don't know if they took them from her. But anyway, they just refunded the $1 because no bags. But up front, and I'm like, well, it sounds intelligent how you're doing it. They're covering themselves for somebody that wants the bags with the $1, but then just take the $1 off if you don't use any bags or what you use.
Great.
So they have found a way around it. But there's another step that all these companies have to do
right.
to meet these requirements.
But they face and overcome. The good ones will.
Yes, absolutely. And they'll offer a good customer service.
I think the bags are ridiculous. I can't worry about that, though. I got bigger problems than whether or
there's-
not the grocery store has bags.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever.
so-
Tell me how the game is played, and then I'll win.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Just going to move on.
Yep.
Tenacity is going to take you past that.
It's amazing how much money the state has collected on that already, though.
I know it,
It
Dave.
is mind-boggling. That's like the little, no one even thought twice about when Polis put in their 28-cent add-on for any deliveries. Just 28 cents, right? You get something from Amazon, it's got 28 cents on it. You get something delivered to the house, anything delivered to the house has 28 cents on
And
it.
why is the
you know
state? Why is the state entitled to that? Why do they get? What is your delivery doing to them?
Because they're revenuers, Jim. They're in your business, right?
See, you said we had time, Jim.
Yeah, we got time.
All your fault.
Yeah, let's rant about politics. I love it. Dave, you gonna jump in on that? You going to your final thoughts?
I'm done. I mean, you can't get me started on politics. I can't get around it anymore. You know what I mean? It is just
Let's not.
yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, I was at my wife's
here we go.
sister, right? Had her daughter up from Arizona this weekend because she had a new grandbaby, right? So we
Congrats.
went over, thank you, to see the grandbaby. So the other side of the family, mom was there, right? And we've met many, many times. We've known them for, Janet and I have been married for almost 30 years, so we've known them that long. And Sue comes over and she just gets to talking to me, and she's a hairstylist, has her own salon, and has for 2 decades now, right? And she just instantly went off on all the things that are going on, and I was kind of taken back, and she kind of made some more comments, and then she looked at me when she was done, and I'm like, "So when are you running for office, Sue?" And she just looked at me and she's like, "I'm not running for office." I'm like, "Well, you're passionate about it. You need to get involved." And she's like, "It just doesn't matter." And I'm like, that's the problem. We all need to get involved, because it's going one direction and it's not good.
Nope.
If everybody's happy with the interest rate and fuel costs and things are out of control, people have to start getting involved. So, yeah. That's not my closing thoughts. Here are my closing thoughts, only because Jam has brought it up. Now it's stuck on my head. So I'm just going to read my closing thoughts.
Uh-oh.
All right. So here's my closing thoughts. Here you go, Soup. You ready for this one?
I'm ready, Dave.
Strap
All
your
right.
boots on.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just trucking on down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. It's a family tradition, a Rocky Mountain high. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We worked for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, and that's never been a problem because we have diesel in our veins. I hear they've got a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you better get out of their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. They keep them doors closed and their butts in the seat because those kick-ass customers are calling, and those big, bright, shiny red trucks just can't be beat. Big, bright, shiny red trucks just trucking on down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. They've got to put that hammer down and pick up another round, get it off the ground and keep them eyes open wide and push on down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They've all got the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them. They won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down and keep that diesel trucking. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just trucking on down the road. Those big, bright, badass, shiny red trucks just looking for another load.
Yeehaw.
There's my final thoughts.
I love it.
I do too.
I love it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. Soup?
We needed music to go with that, Dave.
Oh, that's the step, Dave. That's what we've asked for. We've sent it out there to have music put to that. That will be.
yeah?
So basically, here's the deal. Brother Dave has hated the intro and outro music on the podcast for over a year. So he's a man of
Since
action.
podcast one.
So being the man
And
of,
hate is a strong word, right?
whatever, we could just keep this is raw and unfiltered, right? We'll just cook. It is what it is. So instead of trying to find music, he decided we're going to write our own music. It doesn't get better than that. I love it.
Yeah. Done our way, by our way.
Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, who doesn't want a custom Channel 23 song?
You know what? I hate. Well, it's not I hate to agree with you, but I really have to agree with you right now, Jam, because Joe Rogan can suck it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he didn't write his theme song.
Exactly. We had a pretty good laugh yesterday because while you were gone, Jim says, "Oh yeah, Brother Dave said he wrote a song for the podcast," and I was telling Brother Dave, and I rolled my eye "Oh great! I know you hate some music, but how corny is this going to be?" You know what I mean? And then you read it to me and sent it to me, and I'm like, "Holy shit, this is actually really good!" Right. Now I'm excited. It's going to be awesome.
Right. I know part of that conversation, Jam, is he called me the other day and he goes, I haven't done a thing, and we were bidding something or looking something. He goes, I haven't done a thing with that, but he said, I wrote us a theme song for the podcast. And I'm like, what? And then he tries to send it to me, but he only sends like one line.
I think it was big, bright, shiny red trucks.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and then I screwed up and hit send, and I'm like, I'm out. I can't even figure
and
this
it was
out.
stupid, right? That's the first part. So I send back to him, you're killing me, And then he comes in and reads the whole thing to you, and I'm like, well, where was my whole piece, right?
That's funny. Good stuff. Soup, you got any final thoughts?
Not after that. Let's just talk about shiny red trucks because I love them.
Right.
Don't bitch about the weather because we need the water. How about that?
Okay, yeah. I saw something on the internet yesterday. It said complaining is just worship to the devil. So,
Ooh,
There you go.
wow.
yeah, I'll send you it. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I got some final thoughts, and I wanted to talk about being on the leadership team here at JFW and what that looks like. And let me start off by saying there's nothing glamorous about being a leader here at GFW. It's amazing. It's prideful. It feels good. I'm happy to be on the team. But this isn't some cushy job where you just get to sit back and, not doing anything, right? This morning, driving into work, when I parked, Linda's out there shoveling the sidewalk, right? Chris also helped, the mechanic Chris. He did some shoveling, and then, other people jumped in. But Linda comes in. She's a dispatch manager, right? She's on a leadership team. She don't need to shovel that sidewalk.
She's also been sick for
3
weeks.
And we mean like
Sick.
coughing. Probably doesn't need to get her heart rate up and start breathing heavy.
Energy,
right?
the whole bit.
Yeah, and did a better job on it than I would have done, right? When there's a grain spill, after everybody's gone home and there's a grain spill, who goes and cleans the mess up? The leadership team. The other day we were at Chorus cleaning up a grain spill because a driver forgot to lock his tailgate. And I'm standing there, Scooby's running a loader, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, leader. Like, the leadership team was out there. We didn't call some drivers to go clean up the mess. So then we get it from everywhere. We get it from the customers. We get it from the drivers. We get it from each other. If one of us is having a bad day, right? We get it from every angle. The people problems. And don't get me wrong, I love helping people. If you got a problem, I said it before, if you have a problem, bring it to me or to anybody on the leadership team, and we will try to help you solve your problem joyfully, right? The problem is 2 times, I'm just say it without being on the low road. 2 times, well, maybe I'll be on the low road. 2 times in the last week, I've had other employees call me and talk to me like I'm a piece of shit, right? I don't deserve that. I'm not going to put up with it, right? If you call me and you got a problem, let's solve it, right? We could have bad days. We could be passionate. We could curse. We could be frustrated, right? But you can't yell and scream at one of your coworkers. It's just not going to be tolerated. Nobody wants to deal with that. I wouldn't do it to you. I don't think I've ever yelled and screamed at anybody at JFW. So I'm going to leave you with the quote to try to get people to think outside of themselves a little bit. And this quote is from Judah Smith. Living beyond yourself is a key to satisfaction and fulfillment. I guess my point is just remember we're people too. I remember asking Jim and Dave and Super Dave yesterday, like, when do I get to lose my stuff? When do I just get to go off? And it was kind of funny because you guys were like, whenever you want.
you earned it, right?
We've been waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't want to lose my shit. That doesn't make me feel good, because I've done that. I've been that person, where you lose it, and then afterwards you're like, wow, I'm a real a-hole for doing that, So just respect everybody. It all has to do with the creed and respecting other people and all that happy jazz. So.
Yeah, you've made yourself better, Jim. But you've realized that you were here, and I guess I can't leave that alone, Jim, because the leadership team, the reason you're on the leadership team or you've got that title is become at some point, and you continually do that, is all of you guys have led, and you continue to lead. You go out and clean up the grain, or you go out and shovel the walks or everything. You do it joyfully,
right?
Because that's how you become a leader, or that's part of being a leader, right?
Right.
What you don't want, and don't need to celebrate joyfully or have to work through, because like you mentioned, there's enough going on, right?
Right.
Is to be disrespected.
Right.
You know, and that's part of the friendship, the communication, you know, understanding where everybody's coming from, but being disrespected and treated that way?
Nah.
And that's with language, that's with the tone of voice, that's that kind of disrespect.
Right.
Not being passionate.
Yeah.
Like I can say, I hate this shit, Jam.
Right.
Well, this shit, not you.
Listen, I have a driver that calls me probably once every 6 months for the last couple of years and just unleashes, not on me, but unleashes. Like he's frustrated, he's upset, he needs to vent. I let him do his thing for about 10 minutes, and then I don't even need to say anything. A lot of times just like, thanks for listening, I feel better. You know what I mean? So nobody's above anybody here. Like, I'm not above anybody. You could talk to me. I'm not asking for, like, I don't need you to treat me like I'm on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Right? We could talk like humans. We could discuss problems. We could work through issues, but it's got to be done tactfully. And it starts at the top. Like I wrote down here in my notes, and I didn't even bring it up, but when there was a trailer that went over in Kansas, who went to turn that trailer over? Brother Dave. I'm sure you've done your share of recoveries as well, Jim. You know what I mean? But we're out here busting our asses for you guys, you know, and for each other and for JFW, for the family. We don't need any of the unnecessary BS, you know. And when I mean unnecessary, like I said, it's not... You could have problems at home, bring it to us. We'll talk to you about it. You could have problems at work, we'll talk about it. But when you bring some of these problems on yourself and you want to blame us for them and treat us poorly, I'm just done with that.
Yeah, one of the things, those were all great points, Jim. One of the things I want to bring up, because you're talking about the leadership team, and I got it from Game of Thrones. We've been working through the series, and it just really hit me, man, when they said it. And they were getting ready to do this battle, and the two kings said, 1,000 men don't have to die here. Let's you and I battle and solve it. Only one man will die.
Wow.
And the other king wouldn't fight. And the king was like, listen, I know my army can beat your army. I don't know that I can beat you. Why should I do that? And the guy replied to him, and these are the words, man, like, I just wonder how many men are willing to fight for you if you're not willing to fight for them.
Wow.
And I guess that's what I feel our leadership team, that we fight for our people.
Every day we go
right?
to battle.
We
day.
fight. We fight to help them do their job better. We fight to provide better equipment. We fight to provide better conditions. I mean, everything. You can use the word fight. It's not necessarily a fight, but
right.
We are working for everything better on
right.
all levels, right? All levels, we're fighting for that. The kings here are fighting for better for our people.
We could say fight. We'll fight with you, we'll fight for you, and we'll fight alongside you.
Yes.
We're fighting. We're on the same team.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're willing to do that.
Yeah.
And we do it.
Absolutely.
Every single day.
That's all that's to me, it's a perfect explanation. When we get political, we believe we're fighting for the best for you and us.
Absolutely, Jim. Yeah.
And it might not be what you totally feel, but the outcome is for all of us.
Yeah. And please don't get it confused. Like, I'm not just saying this because I felt disrespected. I'm saying it because some of my teammates have felt disrespected. I got thick skin, and to me, I could turn things off like a light switch. Oh, I didn't like that. Click, you're dead to me. You know what I mean? But that's not how things operate here. We're still a family, and we got to work together. But when people are disrespecting my teammates as well, I take that even more personal, because maybe they're not going to have the voice to stick up for themselves.
100% agree, Jim. Yeah, good final thoughts.
That's my final thought, my closing argument, however you want to look at it. But
I don't have a final any to add to the final thought, but I do want to throw one more shout out there that I don't want to say we missed it, because we didn't. We just remembered it, right? But Kurt Spencer is back.
Oh yeah,
Kurt. Yeah.
How long has Kurt been out? 3 months with that broken?
We weren't
I'll say ankle, foot.
We weren't in yard 23, Dave.
Yeah,
he'd never been to 23.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. when he was up here the other day talking. Yeah.
So he left. We were at JFW West, and now he's at Yard 23.
That's funny. Same thing with Don Keller because he wanted to get a tour of the place before he came back.
I totally forgot.
Yeah,
that.
because he asked me for the combo because he said I'd like to come down Sunday just while I got some time and relax. Kurt did and go through stuff. You know, he said he didn't ask me for the combo. He said, "Is the gate locked?"
Gotcha.
You know, but. Yeah, he's doing his job.
Yeah.
And you know, so I'm glad you brought that up, Dave, because he mentioned, he goes, being with my broken foot and having to go through rehabilitation and everything, you know, he said I wasn't getting up in the morning, you know. So he said for the last, I probably got this part of it wrong, but like the last 2 weeks, he set his alarm like 15 minutes earlier.
Every day?
Every day. So he was just used to, he goes.
Conditioned.
Yeah, conditioned. He goes, last couple weeks or the last week or a few days, alarm went off at 4 o'clock. I'm up. I'm ready to go to work. And I'm like.
So funny, yeah.
Right? See, that's being prepared. That's grit. That's, you know, tenacity. That's planning, proactive.
He was facing and overcoming all that stood before him.
He was pre-tripping and didn't even know it.
Right? Yeah.
He was stretching and the game didn't even start yet.
Yep. He was creating honest value for those he serves.
Yeah. We, at the end of the day, we got some amazing people that work here. We got amazing people on the leadership team. I've always been proud to either work at JFW or be part of the family. So appreciate everybody listening, and we'll see you next week.
We got to finish off with the creed, man.
Man, do I even love JFW? Wow.
So we need to just kind of chill a little bit when
just
we
a
say
little
the creed.
bit. Yeah,
all right.
Just a little
I'm
bit.
backed away just a little bit.
We don't have to whisper.
Do you need that when you got it on your phone or you got it memorized? I don't know. If we're doing it quietly, I don't want to.
Don't want to screw it up?
I don't want to mess up.
All right. Are we ready?
Yep.
Sure.
All right.
Together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident-free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. And together we are the JFW family.
Man, it's harder when you say it softer.
Right?
Did we peg it? Was it better on the meter?
It was a little high, but not as bad.
Good.
Yeah. So good. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Be safe in the weather out there today, everybody.
Yeah. Have a good rest of the week. Thanks,
Have
everybody.
a good rest of the week. Yep.